Hello, I'm Mike Shaner. This is episode 2 of the Sedition Papers. So, topless this time, no hat. My partners are still here with me. A lot going on, huh? A lot going on. First thing I want to talk about is Karen Ann Harlos and her hypocritical removal by the LNC and why it's important. And I want to Miss Harlos is not a friend of mine. We've never met. She's not someone I confide in, and I'm not someone she confides in. We have no past. I don't agree with everything she says. I don't always enjoy the way she says things. I didn't get involved because she's my friend. I didn't get involved because I have personal feelings. I got involved because I saw a travesty taking place in the name of libertarianism. That's why it's important. That's why it's important. I mean, it's important not to be hypocritical. It's important to stand up for truth anytime we can, but it's really important when we see hypocrisy under the guise of libertarianism to call it out. People get on to me a lot I make a lot of people mad because I'll say someone isn't a real libertarian, it's cliche. It's true, everybody's not a libertarian. Just because you have some pet peeve that's a libertarian issue, that doesn't make you a libertarian. And it's important to call that out. Ron Paul used to work with Dennis Kucinich, and it was beautiful. He'd work across the aisle. Kucinich was a socialist. Nobody would call the man a libertarian. He didn't call himself a libertarian, but he was anti-war. He was in favor of civil liberties, but he wasn't a libertarian. Although he was much more of a libertarian than the Sarwarks and the Epkes and the Aaron Adams and those people, much more, because he was at least he had integrity, and they don't, and that's why it's important. It's important because the reason they suspended Karen Ann Harlos from her position as Secretary of the Libertarian National Committee is because she blew the whistle on the former chair for trying to organize a coup to overtake the state party in New Hampshire. She called it out. She was the voice behind it. Those guys at the LNC, man, they, not all of them, there's a couple of good people on there, but that's not what this is about right now. It's like it's their own little clubhouse there, and they promote their social justice nonsense, and social justice is important in the right. They promote their social justice nonsense and act like it's their own little clubhouse. It's not about libertarianism. It's not about liberty. They don't give a damn about liberty. If they did, they would act with integrity when they're working in the name of liberty. It's gross. It's really gross what they've done. So anyway, it's important that when someone calls themselves a libertarian in a public space, that they promote libertarian ideas. Otherwise, we end up with the bastardization of terms, and liberal doesn't mean liberal anymore, and conservative doesn't mean any conservative anymore, and all of a sudden we have neo-libertarianism to go along with the neoliberals and the neocons. Because they all meant something different a long time ago, and if we're not very protective of those terms, we'll lose them. Along with losing the term, we lose the moment and the ideas. If we let false prophets spread a false prophecy, we are associated with that prophecy. We can't be hypocrites. We have to act with integrity. And the LNC, they don't care. They don't act with integrity. They don't. It's foreign to them. They're shameless in what they're doing. Erin Adams, who I'm taking personally because I emailed in support of Ms. Harlow, said basically what I'm saying to you before the vote. She responded by telling me she had the support of all the state chairs. Well, that was important to me, because I would work to get rid of my state chair if my state chair is going to promote hypocrisy in the name of libertarianism. I don't care what you do in your personal life. I don't care if you're a hypocrite. I don't care if you smoke drugs and talk about how drugs. I don't care. I don't care what you do in your personal life. I care what you do to the liberty movement. And if my state chair gave his blessing to remove Ms. Harlow, then I would have started working to remove him. Turns out that wasn't really the case. Turns out he said he didn't want the will of the delegates to be overturned. Anyway, I emailed Erin Adams about this, and I published the whole letter on Facebook. But I emailed her, and she didn't reply. So today I sent out a new email. She replied today. Said, sorry, I didn't see your email until now, and it's possible that there was a misunderstanding. And if I had have known there was a misunderstanding and that I didn't have the blessing of the state chairs, I would have given them the chance to recuse me and to give me a vote of no confidence. So I said, okay. Okay, so it's convenient that you're replying to me now after to tell me what you would have done if you had have had this different information. The information that she said that she told me, that's important. You don't go around and tell people you have someone's blessing on a controversial topic unless you're sure there can be no misunderstanding. No misunderstanding about that. I can't say you endorse me if you don't endorse me. If I think maybe you do, I need to clarify that before I go telling people who are going to come back and bitch at you for endorsing me. But she said maybe there was a misunderstanding. Now maybe I misunderstood what their blessing. It's convenient that now he said, well, maybe I did, but I stepped away from my emails. That's what she said. She said, I stepped away from my emails for a little while, and I'm just now getting to this. So, well, that's not, that's convenient. That's convenient that you stepped away from your emails, and now, after it's all said and done, you're checking it, and you're like, oh, well, maybe there was a misunderstanding. If I had had this information, no, if you checked your damn email, you'd have the information then. But I said, okay, well, you know what, Aaron? So why don't I give you the benefit of the doubt, and if that's true, if you would have operated differently had you had this information, had you checked your email the day that I sent, the day, I immediately responded to her. She checked her damn email. She didn't respond until today because today I'm making us think about it. But anyway, I said, if you would have operated different with this information, why don't you make a move to rescind? She replied back to me, I will not be making a move to rescind. I replied back to her, I did not expect you to make a move to rescind because, as I said, that would require integrity, and she has none, and that is important. It is important that the faces of the Libertarian National Committee have integrity. Otherwise, us as libertarians have no integrity. That's what people see. It's simple, man. So she should be removed based on just that. The other one, Longstreth, Richard Longstreth, he got up there and he lied. You guys, if you're watching this, I'm sure you watched that. He got up there and lied, and So what they've done is they set the precedent that words are violence, and if you say something that offends me, if you hurt my feelings, you've committed violence. You've violated the non-aggression principle. Now he's all over Facebook calling the former secretary a liar. Basically, their terms, he is on Facebook committing violence against the former secretary, doing exactly what they've using his personal email account to discuss party business and call a registered libertarian a liar in public. Now, I don't give a damn in real life. You do these things. That's what you do. I mean, it's not violence, but that's the precedent they set. That's what they're saying. They're saying she had to go because she was committing this word violence. How does he get to stay? We all know that Sarwark was behind this, the whole coup, and that's the hypocrisy. They get on. They hate Donald Trump so much. I hate Donald Trump. They hate Donald Trump so much. They get on. They cry and complain about this coup attempt on January 6th. And first off, if you're going to call yourself a libertarian, and you're going to cry because a bunch of unarmed men, women, and children in furry costumes occupied a public space as members of the public and left when they were told to. If you're going to cry because a group of people rushed to overthrow the government, maybe you're not, maybe you like the government a little more than you let on. But if these guys didn't do nothing, but these same people that cry about that, they overturned the will of their own delegates. They staged a coup to overturn the will of their own delegates in New Hampshire. When it failed and they got caught, they got together and they threw out the whistleblowers. They know in a couple of months that they're done. They'll probably go infiltrate the Green Party and make them, ruin it even worse than it is. But in the meantime, they're making a mockery of us. And I think it's also what they think is that they're gonna pull off this band-aid. They're gonna get rid of that cancer. They hate her. They're gonna show vengeance. They're gonna get rid of her, and we're all gonna forget. It's gonna be painful for a minute, but life goes on. We'll offer. Don't forget, if you care about liberty, harass them. Check their social media. Watch them. Every time, it may sound petty, but it's not petty because we have to call out the hypocrisy and we have to get rid of the hypocrites. Don't let their life be easier because they were able to enact vengeance on a whistleblower. Don't let their life be easy. Hold them accountable. Watch them every day. Email them, write them, call them. Every time they commit word violence, ask for an investigation for them to be removed. They should be getting hundreds of emails every day. They shouldn't be able to do anything else. They shouldn't be able to ruin the Libertarian Party any further because they should be too busy dealing with us. Then once Reno rolls around, well, we all know what's going to happen then. Alright, anyway, so that's that, and there's a lot going on in the world, right? That's why the LNC thing is important, though, that hypocrisy. So anyway, moving forward, I wrote an article a long time ago, and I lost it, and I wish I hadn't have. After the Ron Paul campaigns, after the 2012 campaign, and after Rand came out and wasn't exactly what I wanted him to be, and anyway, I got burned out and I got out of politics. I just got completely out of politics. I wish I hadn't have, because just for selfish reasons, if I'd have known the explosion of what was coming next, I had a fairly decent following. Some of you may remember. I think I'd be alright right now, but things happen how they're supposed to, and I deleted everything. Deleted anything that had to do with politics. I had the limit on Facebook. I had my Facebook page was just massive. And I deleted all of that. I was a political columnist for the Los Angeles Examiner. I deleted all of everything. It was all gone. And but anyway, I wrote. So I'm telling you that to tell you why I can't find this article, but I did write it. And it was around the time was when they were debating Obamacare, and I talked about the importance of defeating Obamacare, because when someone gives you something, there are strings attached. If you live in my house, you go by my rules. If I pay for your health care, you don't smoke, and that's sort of what I think it was about then. If you don't behave in the way that we tell you to behave while we're giving you insurance, we're going to deny you health care, because it was when they were talking about death panels and all that, and that's what the whole thing was about. Well, now we're looking at a whole different thing with vaccine passports, and I wish that I had the article, and it's worth mentioning, and it's just worth mentioning in passing for right now, but be careful, or just keep an eye out, because soon I think they're going to be saying, I think there's a possibility they're going to tell you they're not going to, because they're already talking about they don't want you to get health care if you don't have the vaccine. I think pretty soon they're going to pull your insurance, or they're going to pay for your health care. They're going to make it so they can deny you health care if you don't get the insurance. If you don't get the vaccine, and I think that's important to keep an eye on. So, and that's why we shouldn't have that's and a million other reasons why we shouldn't have let the government already. I'm about to also write this article on the history of healthcare, like I did on the roads. Government's been in healthcare a long time, but that's why we shouldn't let government in healthcare. You can't. There's no such thing as a free ride, and we all know. The drug of government is power, and they will use, just like a crackhead will do anything he can to get his next fix. So will the government. So anyway, we got to scale that back. We've got to. And what can we do? What can we do to start scaling the government back? A couple of things. A couple of massive things. I know this is gonna sound well. I won't say that right now. So we take back government at the local level. If we take back government at the local level, we can prevent the federal level. If we own the local and we can refuse the federal influence, it makes life a lot easier. One thing we can do is overwhelm the system. So don't plead guilty when you get a speeding ticket. Don't just pay the fine. Go to court. Make them try that son of a bitch. Make them spend the money and the resources. There's a lot of, there are many benefits to that. Most of the time you're going to win, but most of the time you're going to end up not paying the speeding ticket, or the no seatbelt ticket, or whatever it is, because the cop doesn't show up. They're going to offer you a deal. Don't take the deal. If you've done something non-violent, a victimless crime, no crime, don't be a revenue. Plead not guilty. Tell all your friends to plead not guilty. Eventually, they'll stop doing that bullshit. They'll start focusing on crimes where there's an actual victim. We can all say, let's stop paying our taxes, but who wants to be the first one to stop paying taxes, right? You go to prison. And I get it. I'm at the extreme end on that, but I get why everybody isn't willing to walk in lockstep with me. But things like not just pleading guilty and paying a fine because it's easy, you can be the first one on that. You don't have to have the crowd to go along with you. You don't have to do that in numbers. That's something you can do. And if you tell everybody and then we start doing it in numbers, so if you just do it by yourself, it's going to benefit you, because you're going to win. Even if you don't win, the worst thing that's going to happen is you pay your speeding ticket, but you're going to win. You're always going to win. 9 times out of 10. I've gotten 3 speeding tickets over the past year. I haven't paid for one of them. None of them are on my record. And it's never plead guilty. Never plead guilty. Never pay the fine. Never give those son of a bitches $1. Don't feed the revenue. Don't. Eventually, if we're all in there, if they're spending all their time trying to prosecute traffic cases and jaywalking tickets and all this bullshit, then they're gonna quit. It's not worth it. They do it because it's easy money. They'll quit harassing us. Another thing, do business with libertarians, man. So my company is called Business Process Solutions. You can check me out at businessprocesssolutions.net. We do credit card processing, payroll processing. Not only will you be doing business with a libertarian, that's the most important thing, but business is business. I'll save you money on your processing fees. I'll offer you better service on your payroll. If you're a libertarian, the Libertarian Party should be using me for their credit card services, but if you're a business, in the liberty community especially, do business with other libertarians. Feel free to reach out to me, info at businessprocesssolutions.net, telephone number 205-440-6513. Just, yeah, let's work together. Find other libertarians in your community. I'm sure there's a libertarian lawn service out there. If you're going to pay somebody to cut your grass, give it to somebody who's going to put it back in the community. This stuff's important. It's real important. It's important that we build a community and we work together. So, another thing I think is important is, I know a lot of real smart guys, like really smart guys, maybe too smart, and gals. I say guys, and but we focus on, some of you focus on the conspiracy theories, and that's fine in the circles, whatever. But putting it out there, like, I don't care what shape the Earth is. I believe it's a globe. There's no reason. I mean, if it's not, though, like, let's say the Earth was flat. Nobody believe. Let's say it was. I'm using this one because it's easy pickings. Let's say it was flat. Who cares? Who gives a fuck, really? What benefit? How, if I found out right now that the Earth was a triangle, my life would not change. Like, not a lick. It would yours? Like, oh, okay, well, damn, it's a triangle. It wouldn't change. So, even if you're right, even if I'm wrong and you're right, and the Earth is flat, and who cares? What you've done is, by going out there and spouting this, is you might get one or two people to listen to you about your conspiracy, but everybody else that heard it thinks you're a nut. The government does things that are undisputable, that are fact, that nobody can say, that's not true, I don't believe that. The government commits so many horrifying atrocities on humanity that are legitimate, verifiable things that they don't dispute, that they won't argue with, that you can say, look, and focus on those things. Focus on what they're actually doing. Focus on, in the wars, in the Fed. Once we get there, if you want to talk, talk about whatever you want to, but if you're going to do it, and this goes back to the beginning, like on how it's important to represent the liberty movement. It's important to represent the liberty movement with integrity, but also in a way where you can be taken seriously, where they can't say that guy's a joke. If you have undeniable proof that George Bush blew up the World Trade Center, sure, share it. That'll change things. That would change the world. undeniable proof, indisputable. But I do whatever you want to. But if you go around spouting conspiracy theories, when it comes time for the public to hear you, they're not going to listen. Ron Paul didn't go around talking about the conspiracy theories. We say Ron Paul because Ron Paul is the liberty movement. He is the person that brought all. Without Ron Paul, we're maybe 100 guys scattered across the country. Ron Paul is the most successful missionary of the liberty movement in our time. So I say we follow his example. We point out history, we point out what they've actually done, that not what we think they've done, not what we can't prove they've done, but what they've actually verifiably done and what we can do to change it. If we can do that and we can do it together, we can start making waves. Now's the time. There's never been a time like right now. And I'm going to end at this. This is what I think is I get a certain pleasure from with the left, the left right now. The pearl clutchers, the white saviors, who are out to crucify everything and everybody as racist. And now these same people are the ones who are trying to enact the COVID passports and tell us that we should be allowed to go to restaurants and we shouldn't be allowed to go to concerts unless we have the vaccine. The largest percentage of people who refuse the vaccine are minorities, specifically African American. I believe 73% is the last number I was seeing. That number changes, but they by far the highest demographic. I find it interesting that, and this is what we should be pushing. All that other stuff, the LNC, they're doing all this nonsense with Harless, and what they should have been doing is fighting COVID and using COVID as an example, as an attempt to bring people into the movement. Because right now we have an unprecedented opportunity to bring underrepresented people into the liberty movement. Because you have these pearl clutchers, you have these white saviors walking around now telling people that if they don't get the vaccine, they should be segregated from society. And when it's pointed out to them that blacks are the largest representation of the largest demographic that doesn't have the vaccine, and that they're in effect literally calling for black people to be segregated unless they take an injection to make white people feel more safe. Think about that. Think about that. They're literally saying, I know what happened with Tuskegee, and I know your history of segregation, and I get this and that, but for the good of society, we think if you guys don't take this drug, you shouldn't be allowed to participate. Talk to the leftists about that. Watch them squirm. Watch them try to balance segregation and the COVID vaccines, and got a big opportunity right now, guys. Anyway, took up a lot of your time, and I appreciate you sticking with me. Share, subscribe, do business with me. If you're a business owner, we should do business together. I can save you money. info@businessprocesssolutions.net. But even if we're not, and even if we don't, even if we're not friends, we can be free apart. You guys enjoy your September.